Welcome to episode 103.
Rest.
Whew. Join us as we explore the ways in which we can resist grind culture based on Tricia Hersey's book, Rest is Resistance, a Manifesto.
We'll talk about it in our own lives as well as in ritual space.
Stay tuned. Welcome to the Witchy Wit podcast, where we look at life through a witchy lens. I'm Kimberlyn.
I'm Leilani.
At Witchy Wit, we explore current events,
Ideas,
music and books,
and experiences in ways that recognize energy and life in every body and everything.
We are both real witches.
And we bring two real perspectives through the lens of our different ages,
Races,
and backgrounds.
with a healthy skepticism for what we have been told is true. Our conversations are raw, candid, and vulnerable.
Join us as we cast a spell to uncover what we each know is true in our intuitive, witchy selves.
Welcome to episode 103.
Rest.
Rest. I think it pretty much says it in the title, but
It does.
Yeah, but what are we going to be doing today?
So today we'll be checking in, and then we will have a discussion about rest, which I'm very excited about, specifically about Tricia Hersey's book, Rest is Resistance, a manifesto. And then we'll end with a poem.
A beautiful poem.
But before we get into all of that, how about we take some time to check in?
Sure. I will start.
I would love
because
that.
I'd like to talk about condiments. So today I decided I was going to procrastinate all the other work I had to do by cleaning up my refrigerator. And I have jar upon jar upon jar. I have chutney. I have mustard. I have this ginger garlic paste, which is pretty fabulous. You just like a quarter of a teaspoon in whatever soup, anything is fabulous. Anyway, tons of stuff, and so it got me to thinking. Pretty much every culture you can think of has some sort of condiment, something that you make your food, and then you have something that's on the side that's apparently going to give it like bam, and you put it on the side because not everybody wants as much bam, right? Does that make sense? And so I thought about that. I thought like chutneys and mustards, and then I realized like in my time in Italy, and I think it's the same in France and maybe other places in Europe. You don't get. I mean, can you think of like a condiment that you get with Italian food?
Oil and like
for your salad, but
the oil on the side that you dip your bread in.
Okay,
That's
like
it.
Butter, yeah.
The oil with like a little bit of the greens, the herbs in it, and then
Maybe,
you
yeah.
dip. But that's it.
Yeah,
I mean that's oil. It's just oil.
It's oil.
Yeah.
And so I'm wondering, is it because that the same case in France, that as far as I know, I can't think of something where you get like something on the side, and I'm wondering because you have mustard and mayonnaise, but they, at least in Italy, they make your sandwich for you, and you don't. If you even suggested adding something to something that they made for you, what's wrong with my food?
Right.
So I think maybe in those places, this is just me. If other people, if any of our listeners have, would like to just send us a message and say you're full of crap, that's totally fine, because I'd love to hear this. I'm wondering if maybe they have more ownership over their food, and so I know in Italy, people you don't get doggy bags. Because a cook makes exactly what you need for that meal, thinking that if you're going to have another meal, they'll cook that one, right? So I'm wondering if this is one of those instances where there's so much ownership that we put the things that other people put on the side and leave up to your discretion. It's our discretion because I'm the cook. Anyway, just something I was thinking about. Condiments. Yes. So just musing, just a little bit of musing today. What about you?
I would like to call my check-in the trials and tribulations of a heating blanket, a saga.
Okay.
So my partner and I spent the night at his parents' house, house sitting for them. This is a long time ago.
Okay.
And the bed that we slept in had a heating blanket built in it was like made built into the making of the bed.
Oh,
like,
okay, gotcha.
To the bed blanket.
It wasn't a condiment.
It was
not, a part of the whole.
Right. Like it was so like when we laid in the bed, the heating blanket was a part of the sheet blanket layering. Right. Mm-hmm. So and he was like, "Oh, I love this. This is so great." He has Raynaud's, which is like where he has like it's hard for him to get his extremities warm all the time. So he like talked about how he loved it. So I bought him a heating blanket for Christmas and I gave it to him, and we live in the South. So whenever I gave it to him, he was mildly excited. He was like, "Oh, this is great. No, it'll be lovely." And in my mind, I'm like, "Listen, you are going to love this. It's just because you don't have it on the bed now. Like
just because we won't use it for another month.
Right.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So then fast forward about a month, it's getting down to freezing. So he's like, "Let's put the heating blanket on." So we put the heating blanket on the bed. We put it between the sheet and the top blanket. So, and a little side note, I'm a snuggler. I want to snuggle all night long. I want to fall asleep touching. I want to stay touching the entire time. If I wake up and you're on the other side of the bed, I'm like, "Why do you hate me?" So, like, that's just how I am.
Gotcha. Okay.
Now, the heating blanket that I bought him has two heating sides. So, like, you can have different heats, right?
Well, yeah.
So, here's where the trouble comes in. He cranks that sucker up to, like, inferno level and sets it for, like, 8 hours. I'm, like, low heat, like the lowest heat for 1 hour while I fall asleep, and then I'm fine. So, I like want to snuggle him, but he is like an inferno and it's so hot. And so it's been going on for about 2 weeks now. And I finally had to have a conversation with him where I was like, "Listen,
honey, like,
can we come up with a win-win situation?" And he's like, "Well, just snuggle me." I'm like, "You're too hot." And he's like, "Well, it's too cold over where you are." So I'm like, "Well, can you like snuggle me on my side, but then like stick your hands in your feet on your side?" And he doesn't want to do that because he wants to be totally... So I just feel like I screwed myself over by getting him this heating blanket.
Because he loves that heating blanket now.
Now he loves it. And I'm like, "Well, we're going to take it off." And he's like, "I don't want to take it off." I'm like, "Well, when it's not freezing, literally freezing outside, I want to take the blanket off." And he's like, "I don't want to take it off. So now I'm like, I don't know what to do.
But I'm picturing him like laying kind of like a U shape.
Yes, with his hands and his feet like just extending onto his side of the bed. That's what I want. So,
maybe okay. How about? Yeah.
I know.
There's a win-win in there. There's always a win-win. We just have to...
I believe it.
Yeah.
Yes. There's something better. Like, we're going to come up with something better. So that's it hasn't been a restful rest for me because of this. But I did make him promise me he doesn't hate me. That he just loves the blanket. So okay. That's been my experience of my resting time. So maybe this is a good segue into
rest.
Into rest. Let's talk about rest.
Oh my gosh! Wait, I need a moment. I'm just picturing you kind of snuggling, and meanwhile, like your sweat's like dripping.
Yes.
And he's shivering because the drips are dripping on him.
Right.
Oh dear. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Anyway, so rest. Oh, okay. So maybe. So let's talk about why we're doing this episode. A few months ago, I read Tricia Hersey's "Rest is Resistance," a manifesto, and my head exploded. It was just huge. We'll talk more about it, but just the ways in which I don't think she may write it. Have you read it?
I have read it.
Okay,
yes.
So does she target it for a Black audience, or is it kind of in general? But she's speaking from a Black woman's perspective.
That's how I took it.
Okay,
although I thought it was particularly important for an audience of color.
Yes, exactly.
But I would argue it's very important for
anyone,
but specifically me as a white person in a grind culture. I do not want to perpetuate that.
Right. So thank you. So I read it, my head exploded, and another friend started reading it a couple of months ago. So I said, "Oh, I'll reread it and keep you company." And It was just huge. Maybe it was 4 or 5 months ago. Anyway, it was huge. And so you and I are in charge of planning the retreat for our circle. And I propose to you that we make it, because one of the things we'll talk about her is that she calls herself the nap minister. And so I was proposing a retreat where we would just take naps. And so let me just posit this. One of the things that sometimes we've gotten a little more relaxed about this over the years, but I remember a retreat where every 15 minutes was scheduled.
Yes.
It was, it was wonderful. We had wonderful offerings. Each woman offered different things, and we had ritual. We had like little workshops and things like that. And it was intense. I mean, when I finished that, I came home and I think I just slept we finished like noonish, and I came home and just slept until almost till the next morning. So that's kind of been our history. Over the past, I'd say 5 or 6 years, we've been kind of moving away from that. And in some cases, really deliberately. I remember a retreat that you planned a couple of years ago where you built in a lot of time for us to just sit, but we sat on the dock, and watched the water and looked for snails and stuff like that. So this is, I think, the next step. And we'll talk a lot about, I was going to say a little, we'll talk a lot about why I felt this was the next step. But so this is, so our episode for me is timely because we're in the throes, we're getting ready to do this retreat in a month or so. And so I'm really immersed in it right now. And
I think it's really important for me. One of the reasons why I felt called to it is that I'm a mover. Like, I love to be moving and I love to be doing because I love experiencing things. I love stimulation. I love exploration. I love people. I love things. And so I'm constantly seeking, and I feel this pull in our culture, this grind culture, not only to have like my 9 to 5, but then also to have a side hustle, and then any hobbies that I have to monetize those hobbies. And well, why are you doing that? Do you compete? Do you perform? Do you make money? How do you make money off of that? I just feel this constant pull, and it's really important to me to remind myself to not only hop off of that wheel of grind culture, but to like push the wheel over. Like, I want to do damage to break the wheel. Like
yes. Daenerys in
Game of Thrones.
Game of Thrones.
I have not seen that.
Yeah, but I know.
Does she break a wheel?
She says they say someone tells her sometimes you're at the top of the wheel, sometimes you're at the bottom, and the wheel's rolling over. And she said I'm going to break the wheel. It's like, I thought she was going to say I'm going to step off the wheel. No, she said I'm going to break the wheel.
Well, I like that.
Yeah, so kick that wheel over.
All right. Yeah.
So let's talk a little bit about this. Tricia Hersey, her book is one of her books is called "Rest is Resistance: A Manifesto," and because of her life, she founded this organization called Nap Ministry, and she calls herself the Nap Minister. And basically, it was founded in 2016, and it's basically just talking about the power in naps, the liberation that takes place when you say no. And when you say no to whatever and saying yes to yourself by taking a nap, even if you're not necessarily taking a nap, but taking that space. And I just wanted to read. This is from their website. The way they organize themselves, their framework and practice. Their framework and practice engages with the power of performance art, site-specific installations, and community organizing to install sacred and safe spaces for the community to rest together. We facilitate immersive workshops and curate performance art that examines rest as a radical tool for community healing. We believe rest is a form of resistance and name sleep deprivation as a racial and social justice issue.
I just want to
Yeah.
So, and I want to be honest, when I've read this book and this whole idea of it being a racial and social justice issue, I was like, okay, like, I'm open to that. I do not see how. Then I read the book and I'm like, white supremacy and colonialism. Yes.
Yeah.
Like, it makes sense.
Yeah,
but
sure.
I did not understand that at first.
So yeah, let's talk a little bit about that. One of the things that when you talk about most African Americans, we are here because we literally were commodities. Our bodies were brought in as material to be sold and then to be used as your property. And so any sort of rights that enslaved peoples had was based on their value. So, for example, if you were someone's slave and I injured you, I would owe your owner money, recompense for because you're unable to work as much.
Because I can't lift as many bales of hay or wash as many clothes.
Tote that bar. Yeah, exactly. So tote that.
I don't know I have no idea what you're saying.
Okay.
Tote
that bar. Tote that bale. Okay, never mind. It's a song. I can't remember. Anyway, lift that bale. Tote that whatever. Okay, I'm gonna let it go. I really am gonna let it go. But what people are beginning to realize is that capitalist ideal is everywhere. It's easy to see with people of color because now people are becoming much more sensitive to the effects of colonialism and slavery, right? But if you just keep digging, you realize, baby, everybody's experiencing it. Because I was just talking to someone about this today. We were talking about reclaiming and various types of nonprofits and how much government and the police and the military complex is tied into capitalism and tied into just the government is ruled by the money makers, and the money makers are the corporations, right? And so as human, we're basically all collateral. We're all things that are here to keep the system going. And I'm going to talk a little bit about this term a goodist. Have you heard that? We in common parlance we'd call it that person is a goody two shoes. But a goodist is a person who knows the rules, follows the rules, tries to be the best at the rules, prides themselves at giving themselves all over to this. And yeah, we'll talk a little bit about that. Anyway, but the thing about this is that the book, when I read the book, I'd heard some of this jargon, and I kind of got it, but I think my experience sounds like it was very similar to yours. She laid it out. And she said blah 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 blah, and you are this and you are that, and you can think whatever you want, but this is what you are. You're like this cog, this extremely small cog in this huge machine, and everything, your education, your conditioning, the marketing, your hobbies, everything is structured to keep you in as a cog and keep you, hopefully a happy cog, but a cog nonetheless.
Yes, because a happy cog will continue to work.
Sure.
Or a less dissatisfied cog
there you go.
will continue to work. We don't want you too happy because then you might break the wheel Denarius. But we don't want you too sad because then you you don't work. So we're in a...
there's this happy, exactly. Well, it's kind of, and it reminds me of slave ships, because there was this formula that they had for bringing people from Africa to the United States, and if you had too many bodies on the ship, then it would cause a bunch of problems and people would die, et cetera, et cetera. If you had too few bodies, you didn't make enough money. So there was this happy number that where you knew you were going to lose a certain number, and that was fine, and you'd still make a good profit. And that's the way our system works. I keep coming back to slavery because now 150, 200 years later, we're learning all of these underlying principles that people espouse to keep that system going. And if you just keep digging, you can see that those principles are still in place today.
I think you're getting at the part of this that's really true, which is if we just scratch these concepts of rest and the opposite side of the coin of rest, which is labor, if we just scratch it, then we get down to what it really is about.
Oh my gosh.
Which is the dehumanization of people and turning them into commodities instead of human beings, instead of human doings.
It's I knew some of this on a certain level, but I think I highly recommend this book for any of our listeners. I found she put it in such kind of visceral terms that, like you say, I felt it. And I think it's a powerful expression of how we are going through our lives, just kind of giving over our power. And I think that that's super important. I want to talk a little bit about the book. Okay, so this is one of the underlying principles or things that we've been brainwashed by capitalism. We've been encouraged to put our bodies and our minds and our efforts, our labor jumping through all of these hoops, through these really unrealistic and damaging and machine level pace of work. And I'm going to come back to that, and that we're basically we're just keeping this machinery going that has been in place for centuries. We just never realized it. We could see it clearly with slavery and just couldn't see how it's been continued. But it's just amazing how the verbiage around it is all about creativity and empowerment and entrepreneurship and all this kind of stuff, and we're just little cog. I wish I could think of something other than a cog, but maybe we're little levers or something. But the cogs,
And then, you have this written down here. Rest is in its simplest form becomes an act of resistance and reclaiming of power because it disrupts and pushes back against capitalism and white supremacy.
Oh my gosh!
I mean, blow my mind.
I just find this so empowering. There were little hints of this that the way she posits everything. I kind of knew some of this, but can I just give you this one example? This was when I was living up in Dallas, outside of Dallas, in Denton, and a woman. I was renting in an apartment complex, and my next door neighbor, sweet woman, not maybe the most thoughtful in terms of self-awareness or whatever, and I remember she was saying that she used to live in New Mexico, and she and her husband found it so difficult to get good help, because she said that the people, I think there were probably a lot of Mexican Americans, and indigenous. I think it was mainly not Hopi, Navajo. There, and she was saying how they were never on time and blah 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 blah, and this whole issue of time is a Western European construct, right? And I remember telling this to my cousin, and he said, "Oh, that's a lot of nerve. Wait, we're going to come in, we're going to take over all of your land, and then we're going to be furious with you because you're still trying to live your lifestyle, which was a healthy, wholesome, relaxed one, and we're going to call you lazy because you're not grinding yourself to the bone like we are." Anyway, so it was just I just remember hearing her say that, and I didn't have the verb. It was only later, like I said, with my cousin, who found the words for that feeling that I had that I couldn't articulate.
Again, I think this goes back to what you were saying before. The veneer is very thin.
Yes.
And once when I read this book and it helped me start to scratch at that veneer, I'm seeing it more and more and more. So I'm an educator. I know you are too. So I really, and I've never really worked in other spaces, so I can't speak for other spaces, but I know that as an educator, when I come to work on Monday, everyone is talking about how tired they are. Oh, I'm so tired. I was so busy over there. I did this. I had to go here. I had to go here. I had to do this. I had to pick this up. I had to drop this off. I had to go over here. I had to do this. I couldn't even go to sleep because I was so busy folding laundry, and I have 7 loads of laundry, and then it got me thinking, why doesn't anyone ever come in and say, wow, I had a really relaxing weekend and I just am feeling really good.
Because no one has it.
I think I would be burned at the stake if I said that.
Oh yeah. So I do something with my students on the first day of the Monday of the week or whatever. We call Rose and Thorn. I'm sure you've done that. And so a couple of times a student will say, "Oh, I had a really relaxing weekend. I caught up on my sleep," and then their thorn will be, "And now I'm behind."
Oh.
You know?
So, like, you can't even enjoy...
You can't even have that... I'm sure in that moment they might have, but even then you're probably thinking, oh, I've got all of this work, but I'm going to relax, I'm going to relax. But you can't really, because there's all of this stuff waiting for you.
Well, the wheel, that's because they're still on the wheel, and the wheel is going to run them over.
Exactly.
You have
They're
to fully get off of the wheel, and I would argue... blow up the wheel.
Kick that wheel over.
Yeah.
and serve a picnic over it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I would also like to, this is a newer thing that I'm thinking, and so I don't have much behind it, but part of me is tossing around the idea that being child free is actually one way of resisting this culture. Yes. And I'm not saying that having a child is giving into.
No, not
but
necessarily.
I'm saying it is in one way that one could.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, popping the finger to the man.
Yes.
It's like, yeah. Oh yeah. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you. So we are resisting. So like I said, this book is this. She basically her solution is say no and take a nap. I mean, there's a lot more in the book.
Well, one of my favorite things in the whole book is she goes on this long thing about times when she said no and told people no and set a boundary.
Yes.
And then people were like, okay. And then they walked over the boundary. Like one example that she gave was how she was taking a break. And so she said she wasn't going to be responding to emails. She set up an auto reply. I will not be responding to emails. And how people would just just in case you check this while you're on your break, I was thinking that we might do this, and could you send me this sort of stuff? And you should come back early so that we could do this. And she said that it actually increased when she told people that she was on a break.
Well, so this is my guess. When people when someone does something that is really okay, let's talk about being a vegetarian. You're a vegetarian. How many times have you said I'm a vegetarian just so they won't slap a piece of bacon in front of you? That's why you're saying that.
Correct.
You're just letting them know some right. information so that if you come to the house, and people take that as the response will be I hardly eat any meat. It's like no, you didn't.
I don't. You don't care.
You don't care. I'm not saying that. There's no judgment in that about you. I'm just telling you, don't give me the steak.
Right. Right.
Give me the tofu or
right,
whatever.
Right.
And so I suspect with this woman, when she did this, that ramped up their anxiety even more. And I feel it's kind of like the zombies in the lake. When one person or zombie tries to get out, they feel like they have to pull it back down. I don't know if zombies really do that. I'm kind of just making that up.
Zombie lore. I'm not.
But you know what I mean?
Well, I think you're right, because when we expose, like, to use the word you're using, like the cogs, when we expose the cogs, then it becomes uncomfortable. And I think I would much rather be blissfully unaware, or not even blissful, but moderately content, unaware.
Yeah.
Because if I start thinking, then I get uncomfortable, and then the villagers start to, rabble and
It's the red pill and the blue pill.
It is.
Yeah. And so I think that's my guess, is that they just can't bear the fact that she is not she's not participating in it. I think, wasn't it something like 48 hours? It wasn't like a year,
right?
Or something. It was like a week or a few days, and it just drove them freaking nuts. Yeah. So and it's so hard. Like, even when you try to do this, because the culture they don't want you to become aware. The culture does not want you to become aware. They don't want you to take the blue pill. The blue pill is the one that you wake up. Right?
I don't know. That has been usurped by really nasty...
By drug culture?
No, not by drug culture. By misogynist, incel culture.
Really?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's they call it being red-pilled. If you're red-pilled, that means it's unfortunate, because I do actually think that's a really great metaphor. But unfortunately, some really nasty people have taken it, and so
nothing sacred anymore.
No, so now incels, they're red-pilled. So if somebody that that you formerly liked, and then now they're this bananas off the deep end misogynist, they've been red-pilled.
Oh, okay.
So
whatever. Okay. Anyway, so let's move away from the pill. But the bottom line is, your eyes are open. Now,
there you go.
Has anyone taken that one?
I'm not sure.
But just being able to see the machine, just being able to see the system, and so her thing is that even that amount of awareness is resistance, is kind of like the when you're aware, then you're not going to. You might still be doing the same stuff, but you're not a smooth part of that machine as much as you had been. And things start kind of, there's like little glitches, glitches in the machine. So just if you've listened to this podcast, you're saying, fuck you to the man.
Yes. Yay.
Good on you.
And I'm speaking as a person who has a retirement account, who works like air quotes 9 to 5. My hours are 9 to 5, but works Monday through Friday 9 to 5, who has the retirement plan, who has a savings account. Like I'm not living off grid, fishing for my food with a permaculture farm. Like I am a participating member in society, and I still feel that there is opportunities for me in the system to step off of that wheel and say, no, my contract says that I end work at this time. I'm not going to stay unless you pay me extra, or unless you, unless it's unless there's some sort of negotiation. Like that is not a part of my job description.
Exactly.
And I feel like teachers especially, it's always like, well, it's what's best for the kids. It's what's best for the kids. Don't you want to come in on Saturday and do this because it's what's best for the kids? Don't you want to spend your own money because don't you want And it's hard to find like, where is that line of caring for myself? Because if I am not a functioning human, I cannot care for others.
Exactly. And speaking, and this is the part that's really tough for me, speaking as an educator, I'm then confronted with how have I participated in maintaining.
Finish.
Yeah, I know. Participated in the conditioning. Participated in forming these young people so that they can be a better cog. And,
I have.
And so that it makes by reading that book, it has I don't want to say forced. It has encouraged me to think about rethink everything, because the system has been built around keeping me as a contributing member of society, a contributing member to this capitalist society, everything. So I think I'm trying to think of some of the things. Home and Garden TV has a they have these big houses that they raffle off, or I don't know if it's considered a raffle. You put your email or whatever in it. So by doing that, I've just given them my email, right? So one of the many people who participates in this will get a house. The rest of us are just sending them our emails, participating in their thing, maybe getting materials from them. You know what I say? Like everything we do, being so one of the things that I have been exploring is, okay, what do I do now when I retire? And, I'm thinking about writing, and I'm thinking about all of these things. And there's all of these systems that are contrived to keep me working, to keep me, some of it is like I need to eat. So, that's one of the systems, my digestive system. But that's contrived to keep me, when I'm past retirement age, I will be this old person eventually, not yet, but, eventually, and still trying to, still hustling there, still hustling that, because that's what's considered successful. And so, kind of fighting that,
Yeah.
Any commercial you can think of, anything you can think of, I bet you we can find the capitalist underpinnings, right? So,
well, ageism is directly connected to all of that.
Oh my God!
Old people rest, and rest is worthless. And if you are resting, you're worthless. So if you're old, you're worthless because you can't work.
That's exactly right.
Which is Total bullshit.
Oh, and so this whole thing, like 60 is the new 40, you know, that you're still young and vibrant. You can still do whatever you want. Yeah, as long as whatever you want is also paying into the system and working and, you know, right?
Yes.
So we're thinking, we're buying it wholesale. I'm the tail end of the boomers. So we get that wholesale. We're like, yeah, we're changing, you know, back in the day, you know, my grandmother, when she was my age, she was sitting in a rocking chair, but I'm not, I'm still out in the workforce. I'm still vibrant. My grandmother was sitting in a rocking chair on her porch, reading her newspaper, eating her cornbread. I mean, you know, it's like looking at me thinking, well, she's not because she's dead. But if she were, she would be saying, "Bitch, retire,
right?
Come join.
Pull the rocking chair. Let's go."
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's just amazing. It's just so amazing how we've bought. No, we haven't just bought it. We bought it and we sold it too. We bought it. We chewed it up. We digested it and then we sold it.
Yeah.
So shall we talk a little bit about how, you know, the ways in which the book, some of the things in the book. So really, the idea is that we don't have to participate in the toxicity of this idea that, you know, we're just here to work. And this is one of the things that she says, that because one way that you can get people to rest is by saying, you know, you put your own on the plane, you put your oxygen mask on first, and that way you can help other people. So this is a toxic idea that we're bought and sold, that you rest so you can come back rejuvenated and recharged, and then you can work better.
No. Well, and I think that is such a like a seductive.
Oh yeah, yes.
Way of polishing a turd. Right? Because what you're saying is, like, you can sleep so that you can work harder.
Yes, exactly.
But you're saying it in like this like fancier way. Yeah. But really you're just
Take
saying
time for yourself. Because you
can... that's the only way you have value is to come back and work hard.
That's why that nap has value. That nap doesn't have value because you're just spending time with yourself and relaxing. No, that nap has value because you're basically plugging yourself into the battery, recharging so you can come back out, you know, swinging.
Yeah, and make more widgets or whatever it is.
Yeah,
right?
Exactly.
But my nap has value because I have value innately.
Girl. and that is subversive. That's the resistance part of rest, is that this subversive idea that it doesn't matter what I do. You know, one of the things someone just said, they said, "Oh, I so appreciate the way you ask that." The past couple of years, I've stopped asking people, "Oh, so what do you do for a living?" or whatever. I say, "So what excites you, or what kind of fun stuff have you been doing?" or something like that. And this woman who is, she's a homemaker, and you know but she does art and stuff. She's a homemaker and she does art, and you see how insidious our language is.
Yes.
So,
but what an example of how, like, even when we're deconstructing, it still just gets in there.
It still gets in there. Yeah. And she said it was so lovely that someone asked her that question, so she didn't have to say, "I'm a homemaker," because even though it has great value for her, in the language of the land, it doesn't. The most valuable job, quote unquote job, that we have, which is bringing new life into the world and nurturing it, is devalued. What does that say about our culture?
Well, you can't sell. It's harder to sell that.
Yeah,
you're not making widgets.
And you're not actually making money by doing that unless your children are working,
right?
I guess there's child labor laws, so your children can't work, but they can be like models or actors or something like that, you know, make them a sports star or something.
They're future laborers.
Exactly. But that's the only value that they have, and that's the only value that you have as someone who's like taking care of them until we can get something out of them.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
So, anyway, so this idea about productivity, I think, is a super important one. And like you mentioned that earlier when you were saying, we're encouraged to have our 9 to 5 and then a side hustle and you, how did you put it, like monetizing all of your hobbies?
Yeah. Yeah. People are genuinely confused when they find out that like I dance or I do acro and it's not to make money. It's not like a side hustle. Like they don't understand. I'm like, no, it's just for fun. Well, are you going into the circus? No, I'm not.
I'm just making beauty.
Like I do it because I want to. And that's the end of the sentence. But they're like, you want to do that eventually for a full-time job or a side hustle? No, like I.
Or are you doing it so you can perform for other people? No, I mean, maybe you do.
Sometimes
you do. But you do it because you like
it.
It sounds to me like you like it, that you enjoy it. It makes your body feel good. It makes you feel good.
And that's it. And that really, I find that it really makes people uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Similar to being child free, similar to telling people I'm a vegetarian. Like
you are just a disruptor. Right? You know that? Like I should just follow you, just watch you like wreak havoc and.
You do it too.
Okay.
I think you're a disruptor.
Oh, thank you. I try. But yeah, you do that so well. You do it with style and flair.
Thank you.
Yeah. So anyway, I think we've kind of,
I did want to bring up, we've been talking a lot about Hersey and just like 10 out of 10, please. Like I read her audio. I had it as an audiobook.
I know.
And it was delightful as an audiobook. I felt like I was in church, like in a good way.
Yes.
Like getting preached at. I just kept wanting to like raise my arms in the air and be like, yes! So even if you're not a book reader, her audiobook, which I got at the library, the public library, so just 10 out of 10 would recommend that. I also wanted to plug Audre Lorde. This was something that I didn't know until recently. As an Audre Lorde fan, I didn't know until recently that she was the one that coined the term self-care.
Really? Okay. Huh. Wow. Because she's a badass.
Yeah, she really is.
She's a badass.
Oh my gosh. And so I have a quotation from her. Caring for myself is not self-indulgence. It is self-preservation. And that is an act of political warfare. That's from an essay she wrote in A Burst of Light, which was published in 1988. And she wrote that right after she was diagnosed with cancer for the second time. So... And this is one of those things where like the term self-care has really been bastardized because she was using it as this radical act that it counters these hostile elements of our culture of white supremacy, colonialism, capitalism, ableism, just like all this junk. But it's been bastardized into like being one thing, like you said, which is you self-care so that you can go back to work, or it can be bastardized as a way of being like self-care as a way to avoid things that are hard or make me uncomfortable. I'm not going to do this thing because self-care, because I don't want to grow. I don't want to be uncomfortable. I don't want to look outside of my privileged window, like I just want to like stay right here. Self-care, and then also like as a way of selling things. Buy this bath bomb. Self-care.
Yes, I was just going to say, that's right. Take a bath, enjoy yourself, relax. This is, showing someone in the bathtub. Okay. Taking care of yourself. Not, again, the idea being that, Calgon, take me away.
Yes, I do remember that. Okay. Yeah.
Take me away so that because your kids are screaming out there, because eventually then you'll come out and you'll have the strength to deal with your screaming kids or whatever. We won't because we're trying to scream. But there's other things I'm sure that are waiting outside that door, right?
Yes. And then one of the things that I think Audre Lorde was really, really helped educate me on was this idea that self-care is not an act of like filling up my own gas tank and that makes everything else okay. It's this radical anti-act against all those forces because I shouldn't have to do these things and then step out into culture and then be beat down. It's a radical act apart from it, so that because that culture should not be beating me down. That culture should not be saying those things about me taking days off that I have, you know, or resting and being well rested when I come to work on Monday. So it's not a substitute for changing that culture, which I sometimes feel like it's like, well, go do that thing so that you can come back and be a cog.
Oh, yes. Yeah, but the very act of it is like kind of shining a light on the broken system. By stepping away from it, you're basically saying this sucks. This system sucks. It's broken. It needs to be fixed. I'm stepping away. Now, it's hard in our culture to stay away, right? But that self-awareness, that idea of self-reliance and not relying on that machine to keep us going, because it will keep, you could pretty much die, and as long as your cogs are still fitting with the other ones, it'll keep you going, right? So you can be sick, you can be tired, you can be exhausted. It doesn't really matter. The idea is that you keep going. But by stepping away, you're pulling that cog out. Even if you put it back in later, you've kind of broken the machine a little bit, and that's to me a lot of the resistance.
Oh, beautiful.
I think that's huge.
So I wanted to bring. I have a picture of a meme, and this is like. I'm going to be vulnerable here. Probably Leilani of maybe just a few years ago would have liked this meme and would have been like, yeah, that's right. Be different. Don't give in to the man. And so here's what the meme says. The real luxuries of life, time, health, a quiet mind, slow mornings, ability to travel, rest without guilt, a good night's sleep, calm and boring days, meaningful conversation, home-cooked meals, people you love, people who love you back.
Those are the real luxuries in life.
Yes.
And
that's bullshit.
It's bullshit. Because
please say what you have to say.
Because they're not luxuries.
Thank you.
They're my human rights. They are my right. I have a right to have good health, to have a quiet mind. I have a right to have a good night's sleep. That's not a luxury.
That's not a luxury.
I have the right to do that. And I have a right to have a slow morning. I have it, if or not. I could want a fast morning, but I have the right to do that. I have the right to spend time with people I love.
Oh my God! Like when I start to deconstruct this, it's a luxury to spend time with people that love me back.
Yeah.
Because I should be at work.
Yes, I think what they're doing, they're positing. They're saying, don't be materialistic. Like a luxury is not a Lexus or a Prada bag or whatever. A luxury is being able to spend time with your loved ones. This is the valued thing that you don't get a lot of, so you should value it even more. Well, why the fuck are we not getting that?
Right. So I need to work harder so that I have more vacation days. So I have more vacation days so I can sleep in.
Yes.
And spend time with people I love.
Yeah. I mean, when you like you say, when you scratch beneath the surface, you see this is the kind of stuff that we're being sold. And we and like you said, not thinking, we'd say, oh yeah, that's really sweet. I'm gonna print that out and put it on my door. No, because it's not a fucking. I'm sorry, it's not a luxury.
It isn't. And I was served this on social media this week. Like the algorithm was like, here you go, Leilani, you'll like this. And I was reading it, and at first I was like, yeah, what the?
Yeah, what the lux?
Right?
Yeah, no, it's true. It's true. And this is, I'm saying it's insidious. This is the kind of stuff that we're being told constantly. And it's like, oh, yeah. No. I'm taking a nap with the people I love.
Yes.
And people who love me back.
We were literally having that on retreat.
We're literally having that. Yes, indeed. So let's talk a little bit about that. So one of the things that we decided is that our retreat, I think it's called The Power of Rest, or Power of Rest, and it's subtitled, the kind of tongue-in-cheek but true subtitle is Or Not. So I think we put, would you like to do some crafts?
Or not.
Would you like to journal?
Or not.
Would you like to take naps?
Or not.
Yeah.
Do you want to come to ritual? Or not. Although I hope everyone does.
I think they will.
I think if they're going to go on a witchy rest retreat, it's highly likely they'll want to be at the retreat. But I guess I would respect if they said, I'm going to take some time. I want to go to bed.
For sure. Exactly. But we're not encouraged to say or not, or to think about it. It's go, 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 because going is good. And rah, everybody go. And so we need some. I think this has come up in the past 3 or 4 episodes. The child who says the emperor has no clothes on. We need someone to say, no, that's not right.
That's not a luxury.
That's not a luxury. Yeah, exactly. So anyway, the idea behind the rituals that it's going to be based on these. She calls them nat retreat. I think they're nat retreats. Tricia Hersey they've taken over a park in Chicago. They sometimes use yoga studios. They've done a conference room where they literally put out like yoga mats, binkies, heated or not,
right?
Pillows, bolsters, and things like that. They have those big, like those stuffed animals that you can sleep on and things like that. And people just rest. Sometimes they sleep. Sometimes, some people can't nap in a room full of people, but they stop doing what they're doing and they take that time for themselves. And that is so healing for me. I mean, just the thought of it alone was healing. So we proposed this for our retreat. And we basically have we have ritual, we have unscheduled time. One of the things that I'm going to be offering are readings of politically correct bedtime stories.
They're so funny.
They're so great. I just love how they just take a regular fairy tale and they couch it in this language that's shown, again, scratching the surface, scratching the veneer away from how culture views these fairy tales. And then I think you're going to contribute a non-competitive game or two.
Yes, I really love cooperative games.
Cooperative, that's the term. I couldn't remember what the term.
Yeah, because I think that it's really fun to work together, and that conveniently lines up with the values of this retreat.
Exactly. And then, of course, as always, brilliant food and drink. So the idea was that I wanted us to create this space that's really, really nourishing, not so we can have this moment of nourishment before we go back into our lives, but hopefully that there will be something for each woman that she'll say, you know what, I can't not live with this. I've got to take something from that back. It could be taking naps. It could be I'm going to give myself unscheduled time during the day. Or it could be that someone discovers, I can really go into the zone when I journal or paint or whatever. And hopefully from the retreat, when they go back into the real world, ideally, we just pick it up wholesale and then carry it back with us. I don't know if, that would be lovely. And if someone does that, I'm hoping that they can show us the rest of us how to do that. But I more realistically, I suspect that if we just take even the ideas from that back into our real world, so we're constantly checking, is the emperor wearing clothes or not? That it will, to me, it will be a success.
I agree. And holding these sort of values in a magical space, I think just wraps another layer of power to that resistance. So not only is it powerful for me to learn these things and read this book in private, but then it becomes more powerful whenever I had a conversation with you about it, but then it becomes even more powerful whenever I wrap my magic around it. Sure. And the other people on the retreat are wrapping their magic around it. Because my feeling is like when I go back into the world, it's like going against a stream. Like I'm walking upstream with this because every message I'm getting from everywhere is about being a cog and making a widget. Yeah. And I don't want to be a cog and I don't want to make widgets more than I have to put into my retirement account, but like because I just want to be honest. Like I'm not living, in the woods. Yeah.
So for me, this is so important because I gave so much of my life to this machine. I was a goodist. I prided myself on, I remember, I think it was when I was in grad school, when I was working on my master's, we were in class, and some of the students were talking to the professor and telling the professor that the reading list was just too unwieldy. There was too much that they felt as if they couldn't get it done. And I was thinking, losers. So you just don't, give up an hour of sleep. And I was wholesale into this grind culture where, you just did what you kept your nose to the grindstone, literally kept your nose to the grindstone. You just worked, and you got it done. And it didn't matter what you had to give up to do that. And when other people said, no, we can't do that, I would just think, oh, you're just a failure, and it's taken me decades to recognize, wow, I've been a really good cog. I was a really good cog, I polished my little edges, the little teeth of my, they were honed.
The little gears were really, really clean.
Exactly. So I have a lot of, I'm going to rest for the rest of my life. Now there's a little bit of a sense of guilt, and I recognize I just did the best I could knowing what I knew. But I just, I feel as if I wish I discovered this 20 years ago. Would my life have been different? But now I can just wonder what my life would have been like had I not discovered it now. Mm-hmm. So can I talk about a cartoon?
Yes.
So I think, did I send this to you? I think I texted it to you. So it's a man talking to a little girl, and he says, so what do you want to be when you grow up?
An honest, brave, compassionate human being.
And he says, because obviously she doesn't understand. No, I mean, how do you want to sell your labor? I just think that's, it's true. That's basically everything is about how you're going to participate in the machine. Mm-hmm. And, if parents they have like such stress over how their kids are going to do it. Kids are having stress because their parents are having stress. And, one of these days someone's just going to say, no more, and break it.
Could you imagine, just going back to something you said earlier, what if that man in this cartoon had asked her, what excites you? Mm-hmm. What's something really cool going on in your life right now?
Right, yeah.
Isn't that a better question than what do you want to be when you grow up?
Yeah. Or even the way he's couched that question, like, what kind of things do you want to do more?
Oh, I love that.
Yeah, what kind of things do you want to do, like that you're doing now that you just want to keep doing, that you want to do more of that, But no.
Right.
Yeah. Because and how many times have we asked that question of kids? Mm-hmm. But we'll do better now because we know better.
Yeah. So. I'm trying to.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So we have a poem by Sarah Harvey, who is I think she's a therapist in private practice. Oh yeah, she's a therapist in private practice, and she's also a school counselor. But she's a poet. She dances. She does a whole lot of stuff when she's not participating in grind culture.
Yes.
And the poem is called "If You Need Permission to Rest, Here It Is."
And it's from July 4th, 2016. It was published in Elephant Journal, which is like an online publication that I enjoy frequently.
Good.
Stop it. Stop running around like that, you beautiful soul. Stop pushing yourself past the point of utter exhaustion. Stop blatantly ignoring what your body is telling you. Stop being everything to everyone else, but no one to yourself.
Stop trying to do it all and have it all and be it all. Stop. Get off the hamster wheel of to-do lists and events you should attend, people you should call, things you should do, and achievements and expectations and worries.
Oh, sweet soul, when is the last time you took a full breath? A break? Aren't your lungs just dying for the sweet, spacious nectar of oxygen? Aren't your muscles weary, sore, tense, begging for silent release? You can rest. You can set it all down.
Yes, you sweet soul. You do so much. You do too much. And I promise the world can go on without you for a moment, an hour, a day, a weekend. It will have to.
Set it all down. Set everything down. That load you've been carrying is heavy. The crushing weight you bear on your shoulders alone. You're so strong to carry it so bravely, but you can't carry it all the time. And you need not carry it all on your own.
Let go all the brittle pieces of everything you've been holding tightly together. I know it hurts, so let it go. Let those exhausting pieces fly to the breeze, to the grass, to the trees. Let them spread into the air like seeds.
Your heart needs you. Your soul cries out for you. Reach inside. Hear the ruby whispers from deep within. Meet yourself in the misty places that speak softly. Set it all down. Set everything down. You can rest. You have complete and utter permission to rest. Oh, you always do.
To savor, to lick the sapphire blue sky, to climb an invisible rope to the stars, to close your eyes and weep rivers if you need to daydream, to create, to expand and grow, to do absolutely nothing, to laugh and play, to be alone.
You have permission. But hell, it's more than permission. It's about fiercely meeting your needs. It's about giving yourself what you give to everyone else all the time. Love, gentleness, healing, the tender space to blossom. So give yourself what you give everyone else. Oh, sweet soul, unwrap 1,000 flower petals, drops of softness, and hand it to your own heart. You can rest. So stop it.
Stop trying to be everything to everyone. Be everything to yourself instead. Be all you ever needed. Exhale, inhale, exhale.
Replenish that pulsating well of great thirst inside you. Melt into the warm arms of this moment like golden honey and just be. You don't need to be more or be more. Doing more isn't always helpful or necessary. Doing less is sometimes the golden ticket we'd never consider. Set it all down. Set everything down and just be. You are not lazy. You are wise. Be extraordinarily gentle with yourself and see how that gentleness feeds you.
Exist sweetly in the white palms of silence like a sunbeam, shining in the divine dappled beauty of all you are. Unfold whimsically into simplicity, into the glistening truth of it all, the glistening truth of who you really are. Rest, replenish.
Surrender, sweet soul, surrender. Claim this moment just for you. It's just for you. Perch here. Close your eyes. There is nothing you need to do. Just breathe. Just be. Thank you for being here with us as we talk about rest.
We hope you have enjoyed the magic that has unfolded here at Witchy Wit.
It would be great if you would help make Witchy Wit possible and get access to exclusive content by donating on Patreon.
We'd love it if you join our Witchy community and enjoy shareable content on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube.
Would you do us a big favor and support us by rating and reviewing us wherever you get your podcasts? It's free and helps witchy folks find us.
Feel free to email us at witchywitpodcast@gmail.com. We love to hear from our community. Reach out and let us know what's brewing in your cauldron.
New episodes are released every second and fourth Friday. Follow us on your favorite podcasting platform so our episodes go right to your playlist. You can listen as you ride your broom.
Stay witchy, y'all!